Next best fusion deck on the horizon. Let's find out, shall we? What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mike with Shadowland Games, and the deck I want to talk to y'all about today is the Albaz Strike Structure deck, slated to be released in the spring of 2022. And from what I'm looking at right here, the support they have is pretty damn phenomenal for this deck. Like, it's gonna be insane, and I am hyped as hell for this thing to drop. Now, the first card I want to talk to y'all about from this structure deck is Brigade Mercuria. This thing is a dark winged beast, level 4, 800 attack, 0 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. When your opponent activates a monster effect and you control a fusion monster that lists Fallout of Albaz as material, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, negate that effect. If this card becomes banished, you can add one Fallout of Albaz or one monster that lists that monster in its text from your deck to your hand, except Brigade Mercuria. Now, first glance, this card's alright. I don't see it getting a whole lot of play, but that's okay. You can't always expect the first card in the deck to be the very best one, but don't worry, we have better stuff coming. The next monster I'm going to bring to y'all is Spriggan's Kit. It's a level 4 Dark Beast effect monster, 1700 attack, 1000 defense. If you have a fusion monster that lists Fallout of Albaz as material on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one of your branded spells or traps that is banished or in your deck or graveyard to your hand, and place one card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Now, this is a really easy, free special summon for this deck, because you're going to have a fusion monster on the field or graveyard pretty much at all times, so it's coming out regardless. It didn't affect the search a spell or trap from anywhere. As long as it's got branded in the name, you're good to go. Like, this card is gold. This is definitely going to see a lot of play. Next up, we have Unlikely Sword Soul Allies. This is a light spellcaster tuner effect, level 4, 1800 attack, 1500 defense. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that attack. Then if you control a fusion monster that lists Fallout of Albaz as material, you can destroy the attacking monster. If a monster becomes banished face up, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard. Special summon one light spellcaster monster whose attack equals its own defense from your hand or graveyard. Now, this is alright. It gives you a little bit of battle protection, which really isn't that big a deal in today's game, especially when you have cards like Despia Quertus. You can just drop all their attacks to 0 to main phase. You don't really have to worry about being attacked so much. And the second effect, I'm sure it has some relevancy. I don't really know what targets you would use whose attack equal their defense to summon. Maybe some of y'all could help me with that in the comments below. I'm curious to find out. But yeah, on to the next. Now we get our first spell of the deck, and that is Paradise Branded. It's a continuous spell. You can use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. The activation of your cards and effects included effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is fusion summoned this way. If you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add one Fallout of Albaz or one monster that lists that card in its text from your deck to your hand. So this card's pretty damn good for the archetype. It's basically Magical Meltdown just for Fallout of Albaz with a search on top of that whenever you do your fusion summon once per turn. So this card's really good. I could definitely see it get some use. Next, we have a normal trap card called Branded Blade. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. Banish any number of branded spell or traps from your graveyard. Special summon that many Ice Blade tokens. Dragon, Dart, level 8, attack 2500, defense 2000. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target one of your banished Fallen of Albaz monsters and specifically list that card in their text, add it to your hand. Now, this card is pretty damn good. The fact that you can potentially get up to 5 tokens, a 2500 attack each. They're all Dart, level 8, Dragon. Like, this is pretty insane. There's some beefy tokens to try to get over. There's no restrictions stopping you from attacking with them or using them for fusions or anything like that. So this could really come in handy. The second effect is you can banish this card from the graveyard, target one of your banished follow. Yeah, basically it's just let you recycle some of your Fallen of Albaz stuff. So it's not bad at all either. Overall, this is a pretty damn good card. Now I got a counter trap for y'all called Branded Condemnation. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster, return a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material to the extra deck, one you control or 2 from the graveyard. And if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target one branded spell or trap in your graveyard except Branded Condemnation added to your hand. Now, the second effect's got the recycle ability of spells and traps, like most of these branded spells and traps have, so that's pretty decent. And that first effect's basically a solemn that stops the effects of special summoning monsters, but it allows you to recycle some of your monsters back into the extra deck to be played again on the follow-up. So overall, that's not bad. It's pretty damn decent, and I like it. Now moving on to the next. Now we get the first fusion monster of the structure deck, and that is a Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon. This thing's a level 8 Dark Worm fusion effect monster, 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense. Materials are Fallen of Albaz, plus 1 fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster. You can only control 1 Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send 1 fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material from the extra deck to the graveyard, banish 1 monster on the field, but this effect cannot be used again next turn. If this face-up fusion summon card you control leaves the field by your opponent, you can activate this effect, destroy all monsters they control during the end phase of this turn. Now, this is a pretty decent card, 3,000 attack, I mean, good beat stick on him, but that material's what's caught my eye, because this thing's basically out to any extra deck monster they have while you bring out Fall of Albaz on the field, so really easy to get over a lot of stuff with it. And then that quick effect is non-targeting. You can send one of your fusion monsters to the graveyard in order to activate some of your other spells or traps to recycle them, anything like that. And then this last effect, that if it leaves the field by your opponent. Now that's not card effect, could be card effect, battle, any reason it leaves the field because of your opponent, you get to wipe their monsters during the end phase. I hate it makes you wait until the end phase that it's not on leaving the field, but overall, he's a pretty good card, and something this deck really needed to get over a lot of strong extra deck stuff. Now up next, we have Rebellion the Divine Flame Dragon. This thing's a level 8 light dragon fusion effect monster, 2,500 attack, 3,000 defense. Materials are 1 dark monster and Fallen of Albaz. You can only use the effects of this card's name once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, except Rebellion the Divine Flame Dragon, by shuffling fusion materials listed on it into the deck from among your cards on the field, in your graveyard, and or your face-up banished cards. But for the rest of this turn, this card cannot attack. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. Now, this card is really good. It's easy to get out, generic super poly target, so easy with Fallen of Albaz. Everybody's going to play a dark monster pretty much. And then the fact that this thing lets you recycle stuff from the banish zone, graveyard, field, in order to get another fusion summon. And the only drawback is that you send a card to the graveyard and you can't attack with this thing. That's not that bad at all, because you could get this thing out, get something else out, and keep extending and go for game. I mean, restricting you to fusion monsters from the extra deck is nothing, because that's all this deck's focusing on primarily anyways. So overall, this is a really good card. And now the last card we got here to really set this deck off is a Branded Fusion. This is a normal spell. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck this turn. You activate this card except fusion monsters. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck. Use 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material, including at least 1 Fallen of Albaz. Now, this is basically a Shaddoll fusion for the deck. It's something that really pops off with, because honestly, one thing this deck struggled with was you had to have Fallen of Albaz out there to get a lot of these fusion summons to go off. This solves that problem. It basically lets you dump 2 to the graveyard for the price of nothing from your hand except this card. So, really damn good card. Something this deck was needing majorly. Another reason this structure deck's receiving a lot of hype is some of the reprints that have been announced in the OCG that were really hoping to make their way over here to the TCG, such as Pot of Extravagance, Dark Ruler No More, Called by the Grave, Ice Dragon's Prison. Like, these are insane, really good meta staples that would really help out any deck, and making them cheap and accessible would benefit a lot of players. We're also getting some really cool tokens with this, similar like how they did with the Spirit Charmer structure deck. So I'm kind of excited about that. The first one being Albaz is Shrouded. Does his name point to a past sealed to darkness or a brilliantly lit future? And Ecclesia the Exiled. May his blank heart be filled with many memories from this point on, thinking of what is yet to come. The girl gave the boy a name. Brigade. Now, this is one of my favorite ones so far. Just arch cool as shit. And it just says, pull the trigger. The Too Virtuous. At times she walked like a caring older sister. The other times like a stern teacher. Their woven bonds are connected even now, no matter the distance. And then lastly, my other favorite token for this one, we have Aluber the Wicked Dogma, a being divided by the abyss. He mocks the light and tricks the darkness. It just sounds sinister as shit, and he's on this card looking evil as hell. So I love this whole gimmick they got with these tokens, this whole deck in general. Like, it's pretty awesome. Well, that about wraps it up for today. I'm really high for this structured deck, and I'd love to hear y'all's opinions on this deck and everything we've talked about today in the comments below. So, as always, if you like this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll holler at y'all later.